welcome to the bench. Here we are.
Welcome.
How you doing, Horace?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. We just had a little bit of a kerfuffle backstage at the bench, in a sense. So we had a great episode planned for you today to do the drip check at EQ. Unfortunately, there's been a storm that's moved into the area. And I don't know how bad it is, but I think there might be a level of running for cover. I know that they're not getting service anymore, so we're not doing the drip check. But
Not today.
not today. Horace,
They are going to try to take pictures and video.
we're going to take pictures and videos. And Horace had a phenomenal idea. Do you want to share your idea?
We're going to do a call-in show today. So if you want to call in, give a hot take. Yeah, hot take. And talk on the bench. Now's your chance.
So I am going to. Oops, I don't know how to. I should have copied this link. So now we're going to have to go to the. I'm going to have to go to the thing so I can copy the link. God, wildly unprofessional, but that's okay. Here we go. Let me copy it real quick. Here's the link. I'm posting the link in Twitch chat, and it'll whenever you. Oh wait, maybe I shouldn't have done that because now you're
want
gonna
to do that.
you're gonna hear all of them. I was like, I can
remove that.
control who's talking, but how do I remove a message?
Because now everybody can just jump in, right?
Well, no, I have to let them into the stream.
Oh, okay.
But what I didn't realize is that you're going to be able to hear them, and so there's going to be a cacophony of voices. So I fucked that up. Oops.
No, it's great.
It's fine. It'll be fine. Well, you let me know if somebody shows up. Is anybody there yet? Nobody's there yet. All right.
No.
All right. So let's. So now that. Yeah, because if they show up, you can be like, hey, we have someone, and then I can let them in. This is going to work, right?
Okay. I don't understand how I'm going to be able to hear them, but you wouldn't.
Well, you know how, like, whenever we have guests and... Here, I'm going to go to the... Let's go to
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Never mind. I understand now. Okay.
So, it's going to function the same, I think. So, without further ado, we'll move on with the rest of the show, and then if we get anybody showing up, then we'll do it.
I do still want to do announcements, upcoming
yeah.
events, exciting ones. If you have any events that you want to pitch or hype up or broadcast, advertise, please let me know. I will, for free, broadcast your event.
Let's do it.
Event on the bench. But upcoming events, excuse me, Equinox is this weekend. You might even be there right now. If you're not there, you can still go. There's 2 more days to go sword fight, do Belgarth. It'll be fun. Keep on the Borderlands is this weekend. Tournaments are tomorrow. It's very close to my hometown. Unfortunately, I cannot go do tournaments. I can't get off work because I am going to Oktoberfest, which is the first weekend in October. I believe it's October 2nd through October 6th. Really October 5th. There's not anything happening on the 6th. We're just cleaning up and leaving. So please come out. I'm knighting my squire there, Squire Elias. Please come fight him in his trial. It'll be great. Have a good time.
Hell yeah.
Besides that, the next nearest event that I know of that's pretty big is the best day event in all of Belgarth. War is October 19th, 2 Saturdays after Oktoberfest. It's in Indiana as well, and it is well worth going to. It's a big battle. You fight for about 2 hours and then switch sides, do it again. It's a big castle, basically like domination battle where you take points and find pumpkins. It's a lot of fun. Battle in the woods.
I will, I've been saying I've been going to events and then bailing, but I am planning on going to war. That's the idea.
It's so fun.
So I'll see you there. So we've got, I just updated our slide in real time. We've got Equinox now, Keep on the Borderlands now. Oktoberfest, wait, war should go before Oktoberfest, right?
Nope, war is
No,
after.
War is after, that's right. Okay, so we got Oktoberfest, October 2nd through October 6th. Who else is getting knighted besides Elias?
Oh my god, there's so many people getting knighted.
Brazen is getting
Brazen
knighted.
is getting knighted.
Yeah.
Also on Saturday, later in the day, and Squire Elwing is getting knighted. Squire Desi is getting knighted. All of my friends are getting knighted. It's kind of nuts. I feel like that happens every year. I think we have a lot of friends. There's somebody else who's getting knighted too. Where did it go? It was on my calendar. I lost it. But there are even more people getting knighted. Please come to Oktoberfest. And if they're doing a trial, join their trial, beat them up. It's better the more people you beat.
In addition, we're still doing the promo. It ends on the 15th. That's in 3 days. I know a lot of bench people. I'm waiting on your promos. Let's get them. Let's get them in. We've got 3 days left to get our WWE style promos in. And then also, we have a sister show that debuted on Tuesday, Goblin Storytime with Cord. That'll be every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central here at the Bench Twitch Network. And interesting to note, for the next show, there will be theme music. We just wrote some theme music for Cord.
It's so good.
It's
I love it so much.
I like all day yesterday. I just had it on repeat all day. I was playing at my car. And
yeah.
I was like, I'm proud of this.
It's so good.
So tune in, get some Goblin lore, check out the new theme song, and have a great time. You know, it's a good time. Hello, Puffin Pippin. Found you on the event page for EQ. So we are the Bench. We talk about sword fighting across Boffer sports. You know, primarily kind of from a stick jock point of view. And we're mostly Belgarth. That's kind of our focus. But we also, you know, I have an extensive Amtgard history, so we also go into Amtgard. We have a lot of warlords on the bench that weigh in and give their opinions and whatnot. You know, so we have Amtgard, Belgarth, some DAG players, you know, and next week we're going to be talking about lightest touch LARPs.
Yeah,
which is an interesting
I'm excited
topic.
for that.
And yes, and Sydney did have input on the Goblin theme music. That is correct. We, you know, the part towards the end where it's like, that was, I showed the original track while I was working on it. Sydney called and I was like, listen to this. What do you think? And she said, she's like, that sounds kind of like that kid from the Rugrats that wears the, like, you know, the tribal outfit and like, you know. And I was like, so she's having me play videos of this kid, and I was like, all right, I'm going to add that. So I hit play, and I start going, and she's like, whoa! And it scared the piss out of her. She's like, I didn't know that you were going to make the noises. I was like, oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
So what was I saying? I got Sydney sidetracked me. What was I saying?
Yes. Goblin theme music.
Was I talking about what we do as the bench? I don't know. Oh, next week. So we're talking about lightest touch LARPs. Our two guests, we're gonna have Glenn, the Mallet of Providence, who you know, who is a phenomenal. He's a warlord at Amtgard sword fighter, you know, phenomenal sword fighter, and apparently like a level 18 something in Nero. I don't know. He said it in chat, and so he's gonna be one of our guests. Glenn is also wicked smart. And then was it Wild Thornberry? See, I don't know. I'm a kid in the 80s.
Right,
I watched He-Man and G.I. Joe and shit, so I don't, you know, it's before my time.
I should have known though. My millennial creds are just sinking as we speak.
So in addition, God, this stream is so ADD. I love it. In addition,
doesn't reflect on us at all.
Not at all. In addition to Glenn as our guest for next week, we also have the famous magic player Brian Keebler is going to be our guest, who is also a Belgarther and a Belgarum, and
Belgarum.
God, I fuck it up every time.
It's okay, you'll get there.
I'll get there someday.
Yeah,
he's going to be joining us as well. So I pronounced his last name wrong. Well, I don't know. What's his last name? How do I pronounce it? Keebler?
I assume.
Not a cookie elf.
It
wasn't like
Kibler.
Kibler.
Okay,
Kibler.
That makes sense.
It's not on purpose. So anyway, He will be joining us. Yeah, the Hearthstone streamer. Well, he was a Magic streamer. Now he's a Hearthstone streamer. And a really nice guy. And a really good-looking guy, too. He's very handsome. He's an attractive man.
I believe you. I've only seen his Facebook picture, like, briefly, and it's really small.
Didn't you meet him at, he was at Armageddon.
Yeah.
Decent fighter, too.
I did not meet him at Armageddon,
Oh, you
but
didn't?
I heard of his presence because pretty much every single person I know that plays Magic was, like, drooling.
Yes. And it's funny the way, like, Twitch and esports work. It's like, you know, I haven't played Magic in a long time. I don't play Hearthstone anymore, so I'm just like, who? Like, I just never heard of the guy. And then, like, my friend Nate and Nate and Cody were just like, oh my god, like, completely fanboying over it. And I was like,
oh my god,
this is wild, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I also have a new segment that I just added this week. Recent tournament wins, courtesy of the group's the URL is Amcart
cool.
Tournaments, but they changed it to Foam Fighting Tournaments. It covers all tournaments, including Belgarth tournaments and whatnot. So
no, I love it.
The most recent one is Kingdom of Golden Veil Weapon Master results. We've got Enox, who is a member of the unit No Quarter, got first place. Sir Jace from Rogue Company got second place, and Yarg got third place.
Hell yeah.
So if you have a tournament win, and this includes Bell tournaments also, if you have a tournament win and you want us to talk about it, make sure you post in Foam Fighting Tournaments at this URL and mention that you won this tournament, and then we will talk about it on the show. So congrats to these three. I don't know. I figured, we talk about sword fighting and whatnot, and we should, talk about tournament wins and whatnot as well.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I love it.
So here we are. Do we have anybody? Has anybody called into the show yet?
No.
Nobody. Okay, I'm going to post the link.
Nobody's
again.
brave enough.
Nobody's brave. The link is there in the Twitch chat. Can I put it in the multi-stream chat? I don't.
Just sign everything that people push it. I have worked in a bank for a long time. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do it. All right, I'm going to also post it to my Facebook page, so this will probably go really well. I don't care. Here we go. Click the link now to call into the bench. I'm sure this will go really well. A, you're not disgusting. B, I'm Sicilian, so I'm permanently greasy. I just always am. You can talk about anything you want. Call in, talk about whatever you'd like. For example, we're going to talk about Numenor Opener right now.
Hell yeah.
I showed up to, that was my first Numenor Opener that I went to last weekend.
That's kind of wild because you live in St. Louis. Like, it's not that far.
3 hours. It's not that close either.
I would drive. I would
think it goes
3 hours is like my day trip range. I'll day trip a 3-hour event.
Yeah.
Anything longer than that, it's like a little dicey.
Tanith, do you know where the best Italian food in St. Louis is? Yes, I do. Besides my own personal kitchen, there is a place called The Hill on St. Louis, which is like an Italian neighborhood. You don't have to have a webcam. Let's be real clear about that. If you don't have a webcam, you can call in. That's fine. We'll talk to you via voice. There's a place there's a place in St. Louis called The Hill. It's an Italian neighborhood, and what used to happen was that people would sell their houses through the church, so that on the hill, so that they made sure that only other Italians could buy houses, which is kind of fucked up. But it kept the neighborhood.
That's like weird legal redlining.
Yes. I don't know that it was legal. I think it was probably illegal, because it's definitely redlining.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's illegal if you only will like private sell to certain people. Like there's rules for banks, they can't do that. But if it's not actually a bank, I don't know that you're covered by that law. Ethical,
moral, legal implications aside, it's something that did happen. And it kept the neighborhood preserved in, everybody that, yes, my mother can call in. Yes. Oh, Jesus. it kept the it kept the neighborhood preserved to be mostly Italian, and so as a result, there's like all kinds of Italian restaurants. There's all kinds of Italian like um, grocery stores, bakeries, all these different things.
Oh, Italian grocery stores.
It's so good. There's one
I miss
called Di Gregorio's,
Caputo's.
which is my last name, and they are cousins
Yeah.
of mine. There's one called Di Gregorio's that is they have everything, and like and they go like they put their whole Italianacy into it too. So like they've got like the gelato shop down on the hill. They import the machines from Sicily, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like
it's so good.
you want to get some good Italian food, just head to the hill and you know try something there.
Yeah.
Oh, good question. Good question.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Do we have any callers in by chance? I'm gonna keep asking that. No
What's
callers.
Plaza?
That's fine. What's the plaza? I don't know what the
Is that in
plaza
St. Louis?
Yeah, that's my mom, so I would imagine
Oh.
that she knows what she's talking about. Joan, what's the plaza? She'll tell us what the plaza is.
Oh man.
With the fountain. Oh yeah, okay. I'll talk about the
Oh,
plaza.
okay.
So there's a plaza that all the families that live on the hill got together, and they you know everybody paid for a brick, and shower shitter what? I don't know that that's an Italian thing, but so they so every Italian family on the hill, or a lot of Italian families on the hill, each paid for a brick, and they put this plaza together in this fountain, and you know it's kind of like.
So cool.
It's kind of like a way to, you know, for everybody to give that back to the community. My family does have a bench of their own. It's the Di Gregorio bench, and you know, and it's a whole thing. So it's
That's
pretty
so
sweet.
Cool.
Brazen asks, first question: what do you look for in a squire?
Well, that's a good question.
That is a good. That is a good question.
I'll go first.
Go first.
So I look for stuff in a squire that I can't teach you to do. So like there's a lot of stuff that can be taught. Like I can teach you to sword fight, right? I can teach you all the stuff that I know how to do. I can teach you to sew. I can teach you to do things, but I can't teach you to be a good person. If you are really nice to me because I'm a good sword fighter and you want to sword fight me, but you treat the people that aren't good sword fighters or are less good sword fighters around me poorly, I'm never going to squire you. If you are hungry by yourself, like you got to want it. People who just want the title and just want to be recognized and they don't just want it because they just want to fight and they just want to be good, and you know that's the thing that you do if you're doing it because it puts a big white target on you and makes everybody come hit you, then you got to have that. Usually that's not a problem. People that like, you know, people that want a squire usually want it. But you got to be a good person. You got to want it. And then also you have to there's like a certain like mentality that I look for of like you're willing to accept failure. Because you're gonna fail. Like you're just not gonna succeed at stuff. You're gonna run into problems. You're gonna not be good at sewing, and you're gonna be frustrated about it, or you're not gonna be able to beat a certain person, or you're gonna see somebody who started earlier, later than you, and they're doing better than you, and like you just have to be okay with that and focus on yourself and like be, you know, always keep that path. And so like that's what I look for in a squire. Like somebody that has those qualities, you have that like that set of things that's gonna make that foundation that you can build upon. Because if you don't have the foundation, like it doesn't matter. Like it's not gonna be good if you get given like this power basically to, you know, put on the white and like kind of I don't know, you're either not going to learn and you're just going to sit and not do anything, or you're gonna treat people poorly because suddenly you have authority over them, and like I don't want either of those things. I don't care how good of a fighter you get to be. I don't care, kind of where you get, as long as you yourself are improving over time, um, and you come out better and a more actualized human and Belgrim than when you started. That's what I want to see. So you have to have the qualities that have the foundation to make that possible.
It makes a lot of sense, and that's awesome. Because it sets up their success in the future as opposed to
Yeah.
like clout or like a right now it feels good in the moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
My answer to that, let's see. So there's a little bit of a difference just because I haven't been knighted in Belgarth yet, and so I haven't taken any Belgarth specific squires, but I definitely have taken Amtgard squires, and I have one right now, and I've had two of my squires ascend into knighthood. Um,
Mhm.
when I so there's and in Amtgard specifically there is there's not just squire, but there's also page and man at arms, or person at arms. Um, so like for me, each of those different categories kind of have different criteria for. Excuse me.
Nice.
Have different. Oh, that Red Bull's doing some work. Wow. Different category, different criteria for what would make a good person. But to answer the question specifically in regards to squires, um, sometimes I have dad energy, and I think that something I've encountered in the past is somebody that people who have approached me to be my squire, the belch, people that have approached me to be my squire, and they're looking for somewhat, they're looking for almost like a dad relationship in the sense that they want to do their thing and they want me to be proud of them. And I don't want that in a squire. I want a squire that I can guide. I want a squire, they don't have to do everything I say by any stretch of the imagination. But I do want to lay out a path. I do want to give advice that is listened to, at least sometimes. And if I say, hey, I disagree with this pretty vehemently, I want a level of like understanding and acceptance. Like either talk to me about it and let's hash it out, or don't do the thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've had those relationships in the past where like, they were doing whatever the hell they wanted to do, which is okay. But then they just, I had squires who would do things that I'm like, we'd have arguments about, and I'd be like, this is bad. This is a bad call. I don't think it's the right path. And, I just, it felt weird to me that they were looking for, it just not weird, but it didn't seem like a good fit, that they were looking for approval rather than guidance, because I'm not trying to be somebody's dad in that situation. I'm trying to be somebody's mentor. So a level of like a level where I know that I can invest in somebody and it's not a loss, it's not wasted effort. They're gonna take it seriously. So that's A. B, there's somebody that has similar values. My beltline has always traditionally been really gay. There's been a lot of trans people in it. There's been I don't know that I've ever had a just, well, no, I take that back. I don't know recently that I've ever just had straight up straight people in my beltline. That's not a requirement. You don't have to be queer to be in my beltline.
Yeah.
But, you definitely have to be comfortable with it.
Oh yeah. I feel like that's pretty hard to not be comfortable with and do foam fighting. Like you're gonna struggle.
I'm gonna struggle, or they're gonna struggle rather, and especially my beltline, they're definitely gonna struggle.
Yeah.
And then somebody's got to have they got to be hungry. They got to have a spark. They got to have something that they're good at, that
Mm-hmm.
they want to be good at, that they want to pursue. Um, I've had some sitters, that just kind of like, well, I'm just here. I'm not really trying to get knighted or anything. Um, you know, and so that it's like, well, then what are we doing? Why are we doing this? If there's not a goal for you to mentor you towards, then why do we have this relationship? Why aren't we just friends?
Yeah.
Um, Now this is kind of hit an interesting snag in the sense that all of my Beltline stuff is Amtgard related, and I
Mm-hmm.
consider myself Belgarth now. So it's kind of this weird transition, and I don't really expect anyone in my Beltline right now to pursue that path because, it's not my game anymore. So we're
Mm-hmm.
transitioning. We're seeing how that goes.
Yeah.
Long-winded answer. Hope it made sense.
Well, the fun part about Belgarth knighthood is that there's no rules, so you get
Facts.
to decide what
Facts.
you think about knighthood is important.
I want to bring up something that Whoosh said. Should never be sought out. Should happen naturally. How do you feel about that?
About squireship?
Squireship or knighthood? I'm not sure which one Whoosh meant, but
I I don't think it's wrong if it happens naturally and somebody asks you, but I don't agree. Um, I think that wanting to squire and asking to squire in a polite way is a good thing. Like
yeah,
if you're hungry and you're like, "Hey, I want to learn. I want to squire. Would you be interested in taking me on in a squire as a squire?" Like I am not upset if somebody asks me that. Even if I don't want to take them on as a squire, I'm still not upset when
yeah,
somebody asks me that.
I agree.
Um, but yeah, I don't think that's bad. I think that's something that you as a knight have to decide for yourself. Like, what kind of ambition are you looking for in someone? Because to me, if somebody is like asking me because they want my name associated with them and
Hmm.
they otherwise don't fit my other criteria, I'm not gonna say yes, even if I'm still gonna encourage them because I'm pretty much always gonna encourage someone
Hmm.
to further their Belgarth dreams. But uh, it doesn't. My my other current squire, my newest squire, who will only be like probably debuting as a squire at Oktoberfest, uh, he asked me, and I had already been thinking about asking him for a little while. So, but I was really happy that he asked. Like, I thought that showed a lot of bravery because he was scared to do it. Um, so I don't think it's a bad thing to want it. I think it's okay to want it, but you can't want it so much that you hurt other people to get it.
Bingo,
That's where the line is.
bingo, bingo. You're not trying. You don't want somebody that is clawing people down on their way up. You want
Yeah,
people that grabs people and brings them up with them. You know, but wanting it is fine. Being hungry
yeah,
for it is totally fine. Totally okay with that. Um, when we talk about fighting and like warlording and sword knight and Amtgard specifically, you're not going to get it unless you want it. Like you have to want it, or it's not going to happen. Nobody
yeah,
is just naturally good enough to be, a warlord without. Nobody is naturally good enough to be a warlord without putting in the work to be a warlord.
yeah.
Or at that level of fighting skill. I'm going to combine some questions here.
Hmm.
Brazen said, "What makes somebody worthy of a knight?" And then my mother said, "What did she say?" To your point, talk about where to go, where to go, where to go. To your point, talk about the mindset of being a knight.
Yeah.
So, what makes a knight?
Sorry. Hold on one
No,
second.
do your thing. I can talk.
Yeah.
So, being a knight. Let's see. There's two things that kind of I think encompass being a knight, besides the usual, like, you gotta be good at fighting, or, those kind of things. Well, several things. Okay. The kids cheat at the game. Um, Something I was notorious for in Amtgard was, or at least I thought I was notorious for, was no voting people who cheated. Um,
Hmm.
and while that sounds like a duh, in Amtgard specifically, it's not because somebody might be like on the serpent path, right? They're going to be a knight of crafting, or a knight of the crown, which is like in office leadership, a knight of service. Well, and the argument is like, well, if they don't take their shots really well, does it matter? I mean, their knighting has nothing to do with fighting.
Yeah.
Yes, it matters. It matters. A knight is a reflection on the realm. A knight is a reflection of the game. If they're not taking their shots, they shouldn't be a knight. That's important. That's important to me. It's not like, hey, if you take your shots, you're a knight. But like, I think somebody that doesn't take their shots should not be considered for knighthood. The second aspect of it is you have to, in my mind, you have to be somebody that takes the game and brings it up, takes the game and maintains it. Somebody that's from a long time ago, long time ago, when I was approaching my first knighthood at Amtgard, they said, they told me that knighthood is, think of the game as a pond, and everybody is sipping from the pond, and knights are the ones who are refilling the water in the pond. So you have to take care of the game. You have to bring it up. You have to make it better in some way. I think being a knight, there has to be a level of authority too. Somebody that can, if somebody could be the nicest person in the world, everyone's friend, super, super nice, but just completely in every way conflict adverse. I don't know that person is a knight,
Yeah.
Because if you're a knight and you see somebody getting bullied, if you're a knight and you see somebody, being mean, if you see somebody cheating at the game, you should have the authority to be able to step in and say, stop, to resolve the situation. And I think some people that are just such nice people that they don't in any way engage in conflicts and are not capable of stepping in and kind of being the voice of authority when it's needed. They're great people, and I love people like that, but I don't know that they're knights, and that's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. How about you? What do you think?
Absolutely. I want to talk about what I look for in knights, but I don't want to tell people actually what I think makes you worthy of being a knight, because I think that's part of the journey that you have to find out for yourself. And if I tell you, it cheapens it. And also, you probably wouldn't believe it. And I think if you already are a knight and I tell you, you'd be like, oh, of course. But it's just something like that's just part of it. Like, So, but like to me, like the people that I looked up to that were knights that made me want to be a knight were people that made the game something that I looked forward to coming and doing. And it doesn't matter what that is. Like, that's the biggest thing that if I was going to tell you, especially in Belgarth where there are no rules, that's like the biggest thing. It doesn't matter what it is that you bring to the game. Like, the first night that I ever fought was Sir Boric, and he just loved like hamming it up, like being a leader on the field and like doing like little larpy like negotiations with people and like being the emperor and the gladiator bits. Like, he's so fun to be around, and he would like be on the field and like Jedi mind trick you into dropping your weapons or looking the other way. Like, he would command you on the field if you were on his team. Like, that was like an energy that was intoxicating. Like, you wanted to do stuff for him. You wanted to fight against him. Like, you wanted to win against him because it meant more, because like he was a presence. And when I even like, I'm going to talk a lot about Numenor Knights because I grew up in Numenor in my sword fighting career. But like,
let's bring in our guest and then continue, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Want to welcome to the stream, Sir Smiley. Wait, let me try that again. Want to welcome to the stream, Sir Smiley. No, it still didn't work. Did he disappear? Can we... Sir Smiley, you there?
I think he might be muted. No, he's here. I hear him.
I don't hear him. Why don't I hear him? Check one, check two.
Try again.
Hmm.
Smiley.
I've got nothing.
I heard Smiley. Now it's gone. Now I can't even hear the background noise.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Smiley, go ahead and call, hang up and then call back in, see if that works. Jesus.
Yeah, can you?
Finally got a guess. We screwed it up.
I
Continue.
can hear you.
As you were. He's
Okay.
back?
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing him?
I don't know. I can definitely hear Smiley. I can hear him laughing and everything. So, yeah, being a knight, like, uh, I agree with you that you have to like be a good person and be a leader, especially to be a leader. Like, you should be saying if you're seeing. I can hear you again.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Let's try
I
again.
feel like I'm hearing ghosts because you can't hear them, but I can. Um,
Yeah, nothing. I'm not getting anything from him. That's bizarre. Ah,
Weird.
Jesus. Why is that? Settings.
Yeah, he's talking right now.
Yeah, nothing.
Weird.
Urgh.
Um, yeah, you have to like bring that presence. You have to be there for something. I mean, now we have artificers and seneschals too, but before too, like if you show up and you organize people, like that's that's the stuff. That's the juice. Like if you're a really good fighter and people come seek you out to fight you, or you're just even if you're not a great one-on-one fighter, but you're a menace on the battlefield and like people want to be like you and people want to fight you and people want to beat you, like that's great. Like you got to bring something to the game because every event is made better by the amount of people that are there, and the amount of awesome people that are there just make every event even better. So you want to be one of those awesome people. Find what makes you awesome and like exemplify that. Go do that. If you're great at making garb, make good garb. If you're good at fighting, go fight. Spar all the people that want to get better, win the tournaments, whatever. Like go be yourself and let that come out for other people too. And since Dane thinks that it won't spoil it for other people, but my thing that makes you worthy of being a knight is realizing that you're you're ready to be a knight, like you're there. Like I think that eventually you do this stuff enough and you like go to enough weapons checks and you run into the spot and you're like, oh, actually everybody here is like just as or if not less experienced than I am. Like I'm ready to do this. Like I'm ready to be there. Like that's the thing. You just notice one day. Like that's just being a leader too, is you see a problem, you know how to fix it, and everybody's running around like headless chickens. It's you. There's no one else. You got to step up and do it. That's all that it is. You just do what you got to do when you got to do it. And when you know that it's you that's got to do it. So
That all makes sense.
that's to me that's being a knight is when you realize that for yourself and you realize that you can do that, you're ready.
All right. For some reason,
Hmm.
there that is.
You can't hear anybody who's joining, even when you join yourself.
No, that did work. When I joined
Oh,
myself, it
weird.
worked.
That's
Yeah.
very strange then.
I just for some reason Smiley specifically, I can't hear him. I can't see him.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Don't understand. Damn. Sorry, man. I did my best. I don't know what the problem is. We are kind of doing this raw because we weren't expecting to do a call-in show today. I guess it's not going well. I mean, the show's. I feel like the show's going great. I'm having a great we're having a great conversation. I just our first guest that called in, it's not working. Well, sorry, Smiley. If you want to try one more time, we'll try to get you on. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is, but we can take another question in the meantime. Um, let's see. Indominus Mech says, "What would you recommend to new fighters that are looking to overcome the feeling of anxiety when fighting? I can answer that question.
Sure.
So I struggle with anxiety. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.
So I struggle with anxiety. It's always been a huge struggle for me in my life in general. But with fighting especially, anxiety has always been an absolute motherfucker to overcome. And I would say overcoming my anxiety was probably the biggest step that it took for me to be a warlord, and a higher end fighter. That was the major thing that I had to do. And I remember when I was younger in my 20s, I'd be on an interkingdom ditch field and I would have panic attacks. Like I would just be in full shutdown the entire time. There was a couple things that I've had to learn over the years on how to do this because I still have anxiety. Like that doesn't go away really. I think the first thing is like, there's a level of like mental depersonalization that I do to my opponents when I fight. Because if I'm fighting you, right, and if I lose, then I'm thinking about, does this person not respect me anymore? All these anxious thoughts. Does this person not respect me? Am I, do they think that I'm a bad fighter? Blah blah blah. I have to, while we're swinging swords at each other, not a human being, just an obstacle. So I'm not worried about what you're thinking, and then I'm also not thinking if I'm winning, what am I doing to the mental health of this person I'm fighting? I've just beaten them 4 times in a row. Are they going to start crying? Are they going to consider themselves? Are they going to be thinking about it, what I'm thinking about? I have to get rid of all those thoughts. So there's a level of they're an obstacle, not a human being. Turn that off as soon as we stop fighting. Be like, hey, we're having a great time. But in that moment, not a person. And a great way to like just mess me up mid-fight, just start having a fun conversation with me. Remind me that you're a human being, and then I'll be like, I can't hit you, you're a person,
Oh man.
So that's A. B, I remind myself that I'm having fun. I love doing this. I love fighting. I've been doing it for 30 years. I love doing it. It's why I get out of bed in the morning half the time, so like I just have to remind myself that this is a fun thing that I do, and I have to find that funness in the fights. I have to capture that spirit of fun, and run with it. That helps. Because then we're not thinking about the different things that may cause fighting anxiety. We're just thinking about the fun we're having. Third thing I do is I practice grounding techniques. So if you watch, I'll hit my leg with my sword. I'll kind of take my gloves off, bang them together. Just, might chew some gum. Just some things that kind of like place me back in the moment of fighting and just focus me and recapture moments that I've had in the past where I was doing well. I just kind of do those same activities to bring me into the moment and make me present. Last thing is, mise en place, which is a cooking term. It's French. It means things in place. It's like before you cook a dish, you have to get, make sure all your prep work is done and together and and you got everything done before you actually start cooking. Mise en place when you're fighting, for me, is I make sure that I'm wearing the right shoes. I have the right gloves on. I've taken I've taken my medications for the day. My clothes are comfortable. I've had enough hydration. All of those little things that cause anxiety. All of those little things that are distractible. Just take care of all of them. Get yourself in a place where your equipment is right, your thoughts are right, everything is right. And then you can just fight and you don't have to worry about anything else. Mise en place. And it sounds like a duh, but like when you're in your 20s, no, you fall asleep in a camp chair, you wake up with soggy underwear and start swinging sticks at people, your shit's not in place, and I've just learned that for my anxiety, mise en place. Get it together. Keep it together so I don't think about all these things are wrong and just focus on what is right, which is having a good time while we're fighting. Do you have anxiety when you fight?
In tournaments.
In tournaments? That's fair.
Not in tournaments. No. Not anymore. I mean, I want to talk about this, but um, yeah, uh, it's been a long time since outside of a tournament I had anxiety. I have anxiety in a tournament because I want to do good,
Hmm.
because I have a desired outcome that I want. Um, but when I'm just fighting, I don't really care if I lose. Um, there's, I just want to fight. Like, I just, I'm there to battle. So win or lose, like if I get killed, my opponent does something really cool that some people would find embarrassing. I'm like, that was so fucking cool. Like I'm so jazzed to die in that fight to be the person that got. Um, it doesn't really phase me, but when I I did have anxiety when I would, especially when I'd fight like good people, because I again I want them to like think that I'm good. I want to do well, you know. Um, and I think that the thing that made it so that I don't have anxiety is one, just like doing it even though I'm afraid. Like the best thing that you can do is just do it scared. Like just go do it. Because after you do it a couple times and you fought 5 fights afraid, it's like not really that scared anymore. The
Yeah.
other thing that I do when I'm anxious is like I I don't I get anxious. Like, there's two ways that you can, in my mind, I deal with anxiety. One, you can logic your way out of it. You can be like, "Oh, I'm anxious about this. Um, you know, I I feel like I'm going to go to this thing and my friends aren't going to want to hang out with me, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Brandon, if your friends didn't want to hang out with they wouldn't be your friends. Like, what are you doing? This is just silly. Like, what kind of
Yeah.
voices in your voices in your head are stupid?" Um, and the other one is just to listen to your anxious thoughts and I just listen to it. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like cool anxious thoughts. Like I'm just gonna go do this thing still
Hmm.
anyway. Um, and the third one is also if I'm like then this is the one that works for me for the tournaments where I still get anxious. So I'm like, I I want to do good, and so I'm like shaking, and I like feel something, and I'm like, yeah, like I am scared because I want to do good because I know I can do good. Like
Hmm.
just I should be. Like I should be terrified. I kind of love this feeling, right? Like I'm here, like I'm in the arena. I'm the guy in the arena, like I'm gonna try to win. And like then it's not so much about you're transmuting that anxiety into something else
Hmm.
because it comes from something, right? You're anxious and you're not doing a thing because you have a desire and you're afraid that you're not going to be able to see that desire come to fruition. You're not going to get the thing you want. So just acknowledge it. Be like, yeah, I might not get the thing that I want. And then as you sort of do that, for me anyway, like I realize the thing that I really want is just to go do the thing, like win or lose.
Hmm.
I want to go fight. So if I want to fight, like you just got to do it. You got to go fight. You got to like do it afraid.
Hmm.
So that's what I do with anxiety. I would say I don't really get super anxious anymore, but um, yeah,
It makes sense. I think to your point, exposure goes a long way. You know,
yeah,
that's how I started winning tournaments because I have tournament phobia. You know, like tournaments for a long time were like we talked about this in our first stream, but tournaments for a long time were like I'm just gonna cry. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cry the whole
hmm
time, and
yeah,
the more I fought in tournaments and the more I lost them, and lost them almost to an embarrassingly like I should be doing better than this. The more I just kind of got used to losing, and it was just this is kind of the default state. So what what am I nervous about? I'm losing
yeah.
anyway. All right, looks like let's see if this works. I don't see Pickles. Is Pickles still there?
No,
Oh,
Pickles was here.
what happened to
Now they're
Pickles?
gone.
Pickles, come back. Puffin Pippin says, "What recommendations do you have for someone wanting to rejoin their local realm after a lot of drama went down a few years ago?" That feels loaded.
Yeah, that's a very context dependent question.
Yes.
I'm gonna say, first off, if it was you that caused the drama, the best thing that you can do when you messed up is say, I messed up. I would still like to participate. I am sorry for what I did. I understand that your opinion of me is lower because of that. I still want to come out and fight. Are you cool with that? If they're cool with that, go do your thing. Take your licks. Like, don't keep causing an issue.
Yes.
If it's a conflict with another person that's unresolved, uh, you got to resolve it or you park. Like, it's
Yes.
not. That's a hard one to get past.
Yes.
But if it's just that you messed up, you gotta, talk about being a knight. You gotta accept responsibility for the things that you do. And if you accept responsibility for the things that you do, and then you acknowledge that, you change your behavior, you continue to be a good citizen. Otherwise, like, people will forgive you over time. And if they don't, they'll still accept you being around. But if you don't do that and take that responsibility, then like you're always going to have that following you around, and it's never going to get resolved, and it's never going to get any better. It's okay to mess up. It's not okay to not take responsibility for it and not I guess it's just take responsibility. Like, take that heat because you deserve it. Like, if you're ashamed because you did something shameful, you should be. That's a good thing.
And I think the answer is kind of adjacent, even if it's the converse. Like, if you were the victim in the situation, or if there was just drama and everybody was wrong, or nobody was wrong, or everybody was kind of wrong, or whatever. There's disagreement about who's wrong, who's right, any of that. Pickles is back. All right, let's bring in Pickles before we lose him.
I can hear you too. Tanith, can you hear Pickles?
Yeah, almost. I can hear you. Pickles!
It's a good camera.
I can't hear him, though.
What kind of phone do you have?
I don't hear Pickles, but I see Pickles. Why can't I hear Pickles?
Well, Tanith can't see you, so that's still a big improvement.
I can see you, but I can't hear you. Why? Why can't I hear you?
Pickles says it sounds like you're the problem.
I might be. Shit. I hate to ask, Pickles. Do you mind hanging up, calling back in, see if we can get you heard? I don't know what else to do.
Pickles is gonna try that.
Hell yeah. God. What is the deal? I pay for this. I pay monthly for Streamlabs Ultra. It should fucking work. That's all I'm saying, man.
What do you do when you can't? I know there's a couple times you've not been able to hear us. Like, I don't even know what setting you're changing.
So there is a setting. I don't know. I don't know why, but like, I can hear you just fine normally, but you're not piping through to the stream. So what I have to do is, the workaround I found is I basically take all the audio coming into my computer and I put it live, which includes you, because I can hear you.
Yeah.
That's how I fixed. Remember with Fox and all them, we couldn't hear anybody? That's what I did. I just said, okay, everybody that is everything happening on my computer, go ahead. And that's why I think it was one of the streams, Sydney called me like right when the show was ending. So during the credits, you hear like a Facebook call going off. That's why you could hear that. It's because I just have all my audio coming in, piped in directly.
All right, Pickles is back. I can hear you, Pickles. I can hear the bugs in the background.
I can't. God.
Oh yeah.
Why?
They're like one of my favorite sounds in the world. It's like why I could never move to Colorado. There's no cicadas.
Pickles, I tried, buddy. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, I love that. I already don't have any oxygen in my brain, so Colorado's not much different.
Sorry, Pickles. I tried. I guess this whole call-in thing's not working very well. We just have this crazy bearded man just ranting without any words on the stream.
I love how you... That's amazing.
All right, sorry, buddy. All right,
It's good to see you, though, Pickles.
peace out, buddy. Oh.
See you at Fest.
All right, I guess we're not doing call-ins. Dang it.
We tried.
We really tried. And I'm not doing anything wrong.
Like video.
You know, we did get video.
If you want to hold up a sign, actually, wait.
Wait a minute.
This is how we get banned from Twitch.
Okay, so to jump back on that question, what recommendations do you have for someone to rejoin? Blah blah blah. Yeah, let's say you're not the drama, okay, or debatable, all that other stuff. I think you should still acknowledge it. Do one of two things: either make it very clear that the person that you have trouble with, you're not going to interact with. Okay, just don't interact with them. Don't talk to them. Try not to swing a sword at them. And then if it's reasonable to have a conversation or dialogue, talk to them and say, hey, you know, I know that we had some stuff going on. You know, I just want to show up and throw foam. Let's leave it behind us, right? And I think the reason for that being is that this is a combat game, and you know, headshots happen, stiff shots happen, gut shots, nut shots, all of these things happen. Mm-hmm. And you know, if we have beef and I haven't talked to you in a year and a half, and then the next interaction we have, I'm stabbing you in the ding dong as hard as I can, you're gonna think it's on purpose, even if it's not, you know. And that actually happened to me. There was a moment with an ex, and we weren't speaking, and we were fighting on a ditch, and I threw a shot, and there was some heat behind it, and it wasn't on purpose. It was just trying to get somebody, you know, trying to land the shot. And they were like, oh, okay. And I was like, no, it wasn't like that, you know. And
yeah, it's not like that.
Yeah, and those are the kind of interactions that might, you know, the kind of miscommunications that could happen if there's unresolved beef, you know, in the field. So, you know, best case scenario, resolve it if it any way possible, or at least acknowledge it. Worst case scenario, just don't interact. Don't interact with that person. Yeah. So let's see, what else do we got? I know we've been chatting a lot. And I haven't been looking at chat, so let's see.
We're all going to learn sign language so that they don't need to speak. I actually want to do this though. My brother was thinking about taking ASL for his for like, you don't have to do foreign language, but like his like language courses at U of I, and I was like, oh, I would learn ASL just to talk to you because I've always wanted to know. And like, yeah. Then if you met somebody that could only speak to you through sign language, that would be really cool. Like, it would be a very useful skill in addition to being kind of neat to just be able to talk to each other.
What sort of tips do you have for growing a newer park or realm?
I'm not very good at this. I'm sorry.
I can handle this. I was the recruiting king for a minute. So, number one thing is consistency. Consistency. Same bat time, same bat place, you know, same bat day. Have the consistency that if ever somebody is completely unplugged from Belgarth in every possible way online, they still know if they show up at this park at this time, there's going to be people there. That's number one. And that includes like, oh, there was an event yesterday and I'm really fucking tired. Show up at park. Show up. You know, there's things like birthdays and stuff. Yeah, okay. But like, try to prioritize park day. If you're trying to grow a realm, prioritize it. And that means telling your family like, hey, I don't do family shit on Sundays or whenever the day is, right? I've had to have a lot of these conversations. There's a lot of family members that have been mad at me over the years because I have always said, don't touch my Sundays at 1 o'clock. I'm busy. I'm not going to your thing. I'm going to park. With very, very few exceptions. You have to have that consistency. Second thing, I did a focus group a long time ago, and for recruiting, and we talked about like what were the ways that everybody got introduced to fighting. And Belgarth does this awesome thing with college recruitment that is amazing. But outside of that, I think the number one way that people get brought into these games are from people they know. So like you can, I personally think flyering is a waste of time. Don't bother flyering. Don't bother doing like 2-person demos. At places. You're just not going to get anybody. And it's not to say that you won't have maybe some success, but the return on investment is going to be really, really low, I think. But so some examples of successful demos would be if you get a lot of people, such as 6 to 10, and you have a ditch in a movie theater lobby. Now, granted, they talk to them, make sure it's allowed, make sure they invite you, and you're allowed to do this. Let me clarify.
You heard Tanith show up at a movie
theater. Show up and start hitting each other. We used to do so. One thing we used to do is I think it was when Lord of the Rings came out, or some other. There was some fantasy. Yeah. It was a long time ago. There were some fantasy movies.
Was it
that
Role Models?
It was before Role Models. I remember that.
Oh man.
I had a contact that I worked with at Warenberg Theaters, and we would set up demos on opening nights of these fantasy films, and there'd be 10 or 15 of us, and we'd all be ditching in the lobby, and the people would be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And we'd be like, "Check this out," and we'd hand them information. They weren't allowed to fight with us, but they got the information. They got to see it in action, because seeing it is awesome. What's the number one thing that like your work friends say when they actually come visit you at your realm? They say, "Oh, this isn't what I expected." They're expecting some nerdy, soft bullshit. And that's not what this is. This is fun and exciting and intense. And so, being able to physically show that is how you're going to draw people in.
Yeah.
So yeah, number one thing, mine your friends and family. Have everyone in your realm mine their friends and family. You got a friend at work that's interested, bring them. You got a cousin that kind of likes nerdy shit, bring them. That's the number one way to make people stick. Second thing, like I said, show them. Third thing is invest them. So make a bunch of swords, and new people that show up, give them a sword. This is yours now.
Yeah.
Have the information for the realm, printed out and taped to the bottom of the sword. So-and-so park at 1:00 on Saturday or whatever. So now they own a sword. They go home with that sword. And you ever hear what's that thing, the business thing where it's like don't cry over spilled milk, but like sunk costs, ignore sunk costs, or whatever.
Cost fallacy.
Yeah, the sunk cost fallacy. Now let's reverse that and say that people get taken in by the sunk cost fallacy, and if they have a sword, especially one they maybe paid $5 for, they're gonna like, well, I have a sword, I have to go do this hobby now, and so they're gonna have that like compulsion to show up, because they already have equipment. They're already invested. So if you invest them, then you're doing that work for them and getting them to stick. The last thing is open your heart as big as you possibly can and make new friends. And it's so fucking easy to be like, well, I'm a knight, I'm a warlord, I've been doing this game for X amount of years. These new people, I'm nice to them, but they're beneath me. It's so easy to have that mindset. And as much as you want to pretend that it doesn't happen to me, it does. Everybody feels a sense of superiority, at least somewhere buried, when it comes to new people. And you have to bury that. You have to get rid of it. You have to rip it apart and say, this new person who's 10 years younger than me and really sucks at sword fighting and has stupid looking garb and is all nervous and awkward, I'm going to open my heart to them and be friends with them. And meet them where they are, and not in a superior way, but like in a way that we're equals. And I'm going to invest in them as friends. And so that does two things. A, you make new friends, and that's always cool. But B, they're making a friend. They're making a friend at Belgarth. And now they're not coming to Belgarth to swing swords at people. They're coming to Belgarth to see their new friend Horus, or whatever. Like they're coming to see their friend. They have a person on the inside. And having that person on the inside is critical. And you can
Yeah.
extend that by doing after fighting food. So like
Oh,
it's
yes.
so good. It's hard for me because I got a kid and I'm busy, so I don't do
Yeah.
it anymore. But like, just like, hey, after we wrap up fighting, we're all going. Hey, new kid, you
Yeah.
coming? We're going to get
If you have
Chinese
a
food.
cheap food place nearby,
Yeah,
that's killer.
killer. Because that's when you sit down and you have those conversations and you meet
Yep.
people and you learn about all their weird bullshit they do. And everybody does weird bullshit, especially if you're doing sword fighting. So like that's where you really get to know who they are. And now they're not just like Warhammer the fighter. Now they're also Jeff, who works at, I don't know, who works at a gas station and heard about this from somewhere and decided
Yeah.
to check it out. Um, you're gonna get so much mileage out of that. Last thing, if you're really trying to get some hits, get some money, do some fundraisers, have some
Hmm.
cash, and do like online marketing. So make an ad, spend $100 to get hits and impressions for a targeted ad. It works. It works. The more people, the
Yeah.
more that ad keeps popping up. Belgarth, Belgarth, Belgarth. And fuck, I'll click on it, and they see what Belgarth is.
Hmm.
And then they that's how you get. That's how you just get people in the raw. Doesn't work as good. Doesn't work as well as picking up people that have a connection already. That's your
Yeah.
number one source. But it does work. It does get people interested, and that's how you can break into a new audience. And as soon as you have that new audience, then start mining all their friends. Just start. Well,
Yeah.
bring your friends out. Do you have any cousins?
Also, if all their friends come and they're all doing it together, groups of friends like that, those are the people who stick.
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
gotta, that's why the connections really help. Um,
Yes.
okay, I do have stuff to talk about. I want to double down on
Let's hit it.
some of the things you said that are really big. One, food afterward. Like even if you just sit around in a circle and talk afterward, because I've been a poor college student, I didn't have money to go buy food. Um, like that's fantastic. Go hang out afterward, even if it's just sitting on a park bench and talking to each other. Um, that that's a huge thing because people are going to stay because they have friends and they want to come see their friends. And I might have stuck around because I just love battle, but that's rare. Most people don't just want a swing stick. Like they're not just crazy about hitting each other.
Yeah.
Um, and they might be crazy about hitting each other too. They might get to the point that they're crazy about hitting each other, but you gotta make friends. Um, and so the best way to do that is to have that community and have people go and talk to each other and hang out. And the other one is that even if you're older, I live in a college town now. I'm 35. I don't have nearly as much in common with college kids as I did when I was like 25 and still living here. And I was only 4 years out of school. Um, but I, I just like talk to people. Like, it doesn't take anything from me to sit there and have a conversation with someone and like actually pay attention to them, ask them like a question and like let them talk about whatever the hell they want to talk about. I mean, you start talking to somebody about, their schoolwork or whatever, and then they start talking about their passion project and they'll tell you your whole life story, like
Mm-hmm.
everything. And like you just made a friend. Like it's that easy. You just have to listen. Like just listen to people, talk to them about normal stuff. Like you'd be surprised. And I I have now been to two weddings this year for Belgarth people, stood up in two of them. And at both weddings, the family came up and said something to a group, of us standing around, and we're like, we are amazed by how many like good friends and how close all of you are. And like they found that like not only valuable but strange. Like they did not normally see that. And I was like, that's crazy to me because I've been hanging out with my group of friends for almost 2 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
And like I met all of them in sword fighting. Like every single one of them. Um and like that's what it's about, you know? Like you're gonna spend your time doing something. You decided you want to do sword fighting. If you're not making friends with the other people that do sword fighting, what the hell are you doing with your life? Go talk to people, be nice. I mean, don't be kind, but also just like no one's boring. Everybody's interesting. They all have something cool to talk about. Like if you're not getting that, then you're either not listening or you just got to ask the right question. And it's probably the next question.
Well, the next question
Oh,
is,
that was a good segue. I
I don't know
like
if I
that.
want to answer this
That gave
question.
me chills.
Light Fennec asks, could you talk about situations where knights have dropped their belts for a cause?
Ooh. I only
Ugh.
know one that has.
I know of a few Amtgard side, but you go first. Well, maybe this. I don't know if I
Mine
want
is
to
also
answer
an amp
this.
card. I don't really think I can talk about it. I just literally know that Tato dropped his belt.
Yeah. Um. Usually, there's a protest. You know, it
Yeah.
definitely. I'm like, what should I say? I'm like, I don't want to say
Yeah.
anything that causes more drama, but like, so usually
I
what
would just
happens?
not necessarily take a side if you're afraid of that.
That's
Like,
fair.
right? Like, just say why they did it.
So I've known several. Um, it's I wouldn't say a tradition, but it's something that's happened in Amtgard often enough. Um, Basically, it's saying that usually it involves someone else who is a knight or being elevated to knighthood,
Hmm.
and the knight in question doesn't agree with what's going on, vehemently disagrees. So like,
Yeah.
basically like this person has no business being a knight. They shouldn't be one. I feel that this sullies the concept of knighthood, and
Hmm.
I am going to drop my belts in protest to show the level of disapproval that I have for this person being a knight, being a knight and doing the thing, or being elevated to being a knight. Um, has it been effective? I don't know. Maybe. There's definitely been, it definitely undercuts or underscores, you know, the level of the level of feelings that somebody may have for the situation at hand. Um, I think that's it. Yeah, I didn't say anything
Yeah.
dramatic.
No, but I agree.
You know,
I don't.
and I think unfortunately a lot of times, I think in a lot of circumstances, people just say, "Oh, wow, that's a big deal," and then move on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that once you have your knight spelt, at least especially in Belgarth, that it's like really that effective to drop your knight spelt.
Hmm.
I don't think because people like don't really know who you are unless they just know who you are too. Oh, that's actually another thing. If you're a knight, people should know who you are.
Yeah.
That's that's a big one to me. Um, and like it's your responsibility for people to know who you are.
Hmm.
Um, you should people should know who you are because you're out there doing stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. But um, yeah, like I don't know that it does anything because you're just taking your voice and silencing yourself.
Hmm.
So I don't think it actually helps to drop your belt.
Hmm.
That's my it's at least in Belgarth where your voice is really the only thing you have, for better or worse. So I don't know that it's great. I think that in Belgarth, usually if you drop your belt, it's because your knight order kicked you out, which says a lot more than you dropping your belt yourself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a good point, Dane. Like if that's you and you're not going to stand for it, then don't do it. I'm not going to tell somebody not to do it. That's just my opinion. I'd still I don't know. But then again, I also have opinions on this and wouldn't join certain night orders if I didn't like the knights or
Hmm.
someone that they let in. So maybe that's maybe I'm being a hypocrite there. So I my night order is like not very organized and also full of like amazing people, so it's very easy for me to not be able to imagine a scenario that I would ever drop my belt over it.
Yeah. I think you brought up an excellent point of like it not being necessarily a statement you're making, but
Mm-hmm.
if you fuck up and you're like, I'm not a knight, I did something terrible, and you drop your belts. It may, if you get asked to, but also if, I have definitely seen situations where people have chosen to drop their belts because they knew they were in the wrong about something. And that was kind of a penance for them, was like, I am not worthy of knighthood at this time, so I'm dropping my belts because I did this thing,
Mm-hmm.
it was wrong, and a knight would not have done this thing, so I am not a
Yeah,
knight.
that's a great reason to do it too.
I think that's a fair thing to do. Yeah, I think that's valid. Because it's showing respect to knighthood. Um,
Yeah.
a friend. I can say this. This is not dramatic. A friend of mine dropped his knight's belts, because he was leaving the game. And kind of he shows up every now and again to ditch, but in his opinion,
Mm-hmm.
he was not upholding what he thinks a knight should be. He thinks a
Yeah.
knight is somebody that should be active in the game, and he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. So he's like, I'm not a knight anymore. Um, I'm okay
Interesting.
if somebody. I don't agree with that. I think it's okay to
Yeah,
not be knighted, but that's
but
how he felt.
I like that sentiment though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of leading by example,
Yeah.
which is
It would
knightly.
be cool if there was like an inactive knight title though,
I agree. Yes.
because I feel like you still achieved that thing and you
Hmm.
still did it, and I don't think that anybody should be expected to like the only knights that are active are actually knights. Like everybody else that was ever knighted, they're not real knights anymore. That's kind of like uh, to me that doesn't quite make sense, but
Hmm.
also I like the sentiment of like stepping back from it and
Yeah.
like be cool if there was like a title for that. Like I achieved my knighthood, but I don't consider myself like active anymore, so I don't really like I, I feel like that's almost just a persona though.
Yeah.
You don't drop your knighthood, just name yourself.
It's I
Never like purposefully don't use your title or
Yeah.
something.
I
Yeah.
purposely don't. I never call myself Sir Tanith. Never.
Oh.
Unless it's like
I
an
do it
official thing.
in like official stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Official stuff.
cause like when I post videos, I want people to know
Hmm.
their full titles and everything, so I use mine so I'm not like I don't want people to not feel like they shouldn't use theirs because
Yeah.
I don't put mine in there, like, you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
But that's another thing that especially with Belgarth Knighthood, where there are no rules,
Hmm.
like knighthood is what we all make it.
Hmm.
Um, so if there's respect put towards it, like you got to be that respect. Like every person is responsible for the level of respect that they put towards it. Um, Sir Horace, hey, you dropped your squireship. Don't get on my case. um, but yeah, like that means a lot. Like it kind of like back in the day, everybody should talk knights or whatever, and I feel like it's not that way anymore in Belgarth because
Hmm.
there's so many people that are knighted and like everybody's got more examples of good knights than bad ones now.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think it's like that, but yeah, like if you want it to mean something, like act like it means something. You
Hmm.
gotta be um, what do you call it? I heard a phrase once that being is becoming. Like if you want something to exist, you have to act like it does exist. You have to believe that it does exist. If you think that everybody should be treated a certain way, then you have to exemplify that. You have to bring that into the
Hmm.
world. And if you're not doing that, then it's never going to happen
Agreed.
because people are going to monkey see, monkey do, follow your example.
Hmm.
And if they don't like your idea, then maybe it doesn't happen. But it's definitely not going to happen if you don't do it and you don't actually believe in this thing that you espouse. So be the I I hate to say be the change you want to see in the world because I feel like that's such a cliche that people like throw in your face, but I
Yes.
really do like being is becoming because um, it kind of acknowledges that it's a process and that it's always changing.
Casey asks, when first starting out, how did you learn where you're getting hit at so fast?
when I started, everybody had fiberglass swords, so it just
Hurt
fucking
like a
hurt. And I had
motherfucker.
bruises everywhere. I my like third practice after I got taught how to move my leg. Um, I did get taught. I'm actually really good at it now. But like, oh man, I had like my leg was black, like
Jesus.
straight up. Like this whole side of my leg was just a one giant bruise. Like they beat the fuck out of me. Like I,
My
yeah.
coming up experience was so wildly different than yours.
Yeah, man. Numenor was a wild place back then. Yeah,
God.
the old Numenorian double core. Oh, those used to be like the swords that hit you super hard were coveted back in the day.
Yep.
So, um,
Have you heard my hypothesis about what the community values in Belgarth versus Amtgard and how it's different?
no, I do want to hear this, but I feel like we should answer the
We
question
should,
before
yeah.
we go on to that. Um, to answer your question about where you learn to get hit, um, this is gonna sound really dumb, but when you're fighting, start just paying attention to where you get hit more than what you're doing. Um, it sounds counterintuitive because you're like, well, shouldn't I actually learn how to fight? And my answer is, if you're just dying most of the fights anyway, like, who cares? Just learn how to get hit right, and then when you're doing that, also you'll probably start to notice where you get hit all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're gonna start to notice like maybe I should block that. Um, you know, the nice thing about the Numenor way back in the day is that there was a huge incentive to not get hit
Yeah.
because not only did you know where you're going to hit, but when you got hit, it fucking sucked.
Sucked.
Like there were certain hits that you'd rather take because they just didn't hit as hard. So, um, yeah, that's my advice is actually just really pay attention to where you're getting hit, um, more so than uh, you know, kind of what else you're doing. And then also if you're not sure where you're getting hit, like you feel a thing, like that's the other reason that what you should pay attention is that it'll get easier to like feel it over time as you pay more attention to your body and you pay more attention to where you're getting hit. But also it like sometimes when you get hit, like you feel these like weird phantom pains, especially after you've done it for a long time. So like if you get hit, take your hand, touch yourself where you
Yes.
think you got hit and then be like, that's my arm. Because like even on Tuesday, I get hit, right? And they like swiped across my chest and it like looked like it grazed my chest and then hit my arm, right? And I immediately in my brain took my arm and then I was like, as I went to fight, I was like, man, it hurts here and actually this was light on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody watching the video or fighting thought that I got hit in the arm,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt it here because I've just paid attention to myself a lot. So I still like that got into the stream of consciousness faster. Um, so yeah,
Didn't that
that's my advice is just really pay attention to it.
didn't that happen at one of our fights at Numenor Open, or wasn't I like, wait a minute? And I was like, no, 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 I cheated you. That was my shoulder.
Yeah,
I did
it happens
exactly
all the
that.
time.
Yeah.
You're not. It's especially now that it's so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really hard to know where you're to be 100% correct on time every time.
Yeah.
Um, I back in the day, people really didn't like it when you said no, but like, man, garb, graze, light, like, there's three different things. Just like, if I say no, you know it's not a good hit, man. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, we're playing a game. You know what feels good. You know what feels wrong. If I say no, it's light, it's graze, it's whatever. Like, I don't care if people say no to me as long as you're communicating. I think that's faster and like
Yeah.
if you are late or you call it wrong, just say it
Yeah.
afterwards. You can always stop fighting. You can always call your shot late.
Yeah.
If you're constantly hitting people late, that's going to be a problem because you're going to start really messing with the flow of the game, especially if you're in a tournament and you come up and you're like, whack, whack, whack. And you're like, oh, actually, I didn't hit you. And now your friend's behind them and hitting them still. That's kind of rude.
Yeah.
And like straight up cheesing it if you're really doing it a lot. But you know, most people are just, uh, we all do it. Like sometimes you just get it wrong.
I think verbal acknowledgement goes a long way. And if I had to retrain myself on how to do it, I'd probably go verbal acknowledgement. So, like, if so, basically like you get hit, you just train yourself to be like arm, chest, grace, just quick verbal acknowledgement. I'm not great at it because believe it or not, for how much I talk, I have a little bit of audio processing fun. And when I get flustered or whatnot, the translation of thoughts and feelings into words can be a struggle for me. So I'm not always the best about verbal acknowledgement of a hit during a fight because I'm sometimes I'm just literally nonverbal when I'm fighting.
Yeah.
But I think that could be like a great way to a great way to train yourself up is like as soon as something lands, just step back out of the fight and say that was my arm. Just speak it into existence, and I think that can help too. That verbal acknowledgement. There's also a thing that I don't know if there's an official name for it, but I think we call it boffer numb. We called it boffer numb back in the day. And so what that basically meant was somebody that's kind of new, everything hurts. Even amp guard shots, just the light hits from amp guard, it hurts. Nobody wants to get hit by shit. It hurts. And it takes, I want to say it takes like a month or so of playing to where you don't acknowledge. That's Red Bull is going right through me. It takes about it takes about a month or so of playing to where the hits that hurt don't hurt anymore. You just acknowledge them as a contact.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Please do so. And I love
amazing.
Sra is saving all these belches for a montage. I've known Sra. How long have we known each other? I want to say 2006-ish, something like that. We've known each other a long time. Yeah, almost 20 years. 2006-ish, something like that. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's this concept of buffer numb, and that's that transition period where the shots don't really hurt anymore. The regular shots, you just acknowledge them as occurring. So like, if you don't consistently fight, you'll never get buffer numb. That the shots will always just hurt, and that pain will kind of overload your brain's ability to determine where it landed. It just hurts. Everything hurts, and I don't want to get hit by it. And so that really is gonna cause a struggle. So fight a lot. Get buffer numb. It takes about a month, and then it'll start being easier to call your shots. I'm gonna jump a question. What do you think? What do you do for the opposite issue when you think someone doesn't think a hit is sufficient? I think you meant.
Ooh.
When someone doesn't think a hit is sufficient, even though it is, what do you do to deal with it?
Okay, so there's two ways to deal with this. There's the correct way. Well, technically, both are correct. One, if you cannot just hit them harder, then you should talk to a herald. Because talking to them is probably not going to go over well. If you're like friends with them, then just talk to them. Totally different. But if you don't know them that well, probably talk to a herald, especially if it's consistent. If it only happens once, like sometimes it happens, you don't know. Second option, Dane is right in the chat. Believe them, hit them again. Everybody has come across light. Why are you hitting me so hard?
Yes.
And no one likes those people.
No.
If you're doing that, you should think about what you're doing. If people only hit you light or too hard, if you're doing that unconsciously, you just really don't want to lose, and you should work on that. But yeah, if you're not hitting them hard enough, some people have higher hit tolerances, whether, do you think that's fair or not, or sometimes you just don't hit people as hard as you think you do. I've seen every single way this goes down where you haven't hit somebody hard enough, they're just a rhino hiding cheater, they are a no ow. Like, I've seen all of it. The best thing that you can possibly do, especially as you grow and you gain things, is like save a couple shots that you got that are just your meanest shots. And like, if you are trying to figure out if they are just a cheater or not. If they're like, if you get the light ow when you hit them with the big one, then like they're probably just kind of not a fun fighter to fight. If you get light, good shot, then some people just that's their hit taking tolerance. They want to get hit hard. They want to get hits efficient, and unfortunately, for better or worse in this game, some people have a higher threshold for what a good hit is. I mean, some people too, like if you hit them clean and they're good with it. It doesn't matter how hard you hit them. Um, I don't think that I have like a super high hit tolerance, but like I really don't like taking super like tappy hits. Like I expect you to hit me. Now I know Fancy asked that question. Fancy doesn't have any trouble hitting me hard enough. Um, so I tend to think that if Fancy's hitting someone, probably just
It's a
not
fancy hit.
taking. Yeah, Fancy hits just fine.
Hit him with the
So
blood pisser and see what
yeah,
happens.
that's but that's like the real answer, right? Like I have a wrap shot that I throw on people that don't take hits or are wearing leather armor that I don't think they're gonna feel it through. Like I just hit them really fucking hard, and then we're gonna play the game. And like if they get to the out game, I'm gonna be like, okay, where's your line, man? Like tell me how hard you want to get hit. I'm fine having that conversation with people. That's not normal. Most people don't want to have that conversation. Talk to a herald. Have the herald do that conversation with them.
I'm going to throw something spicy out there.
Okay.
There are people that are smaller frame.
Mm-hmm.
Is the idea that someone has a higher threshold for how hard they want to get hit, is that fair to those people? And there's maybe
Yeah.
somebody that was
Do
assigned
you want
female
my
at
answer?
birth that
Because
is
I'll
very
give you an answer
small.
to this.
Say again.
I'll give you an answer. My answer to this.
I'm thinking about somebody that I'm thinking about. We'll use my girlfriend, right? Sydney is
Yeah.
5'1". She's small. She's a smaller person. In a sense, she's new. She's sword fought once or twice. Is she capable of hitting somebody hard enough for them to take it? I don't know. Is that fair to her?
My take on that personally is that hit taking is a sliding scale. Um, I am going to like there is a certain threshold at which it's not anymore. I do not expect Takis to try to kill me every time he hits me because he can. Like that's ridiculous. But there is definitely like if somebody is smaller, I'm not going to expect them to like hit me super hard. Um, you know, I'm going to take a hit that maybe is lighter than one I would take from another Emir who all hit pretty consistently at a certain level. Um, do I still expect it to have all of the other qualities of a good hit? Yes, but my actual like hardness scale for them is going to be lower.
Mm-hmm.
That the only thing with this is that no matter what, there's still an unfairness scale here in that there are certain people that or not even certain people, there's just a strength threshold at which you're not going to be able to get certain hits below that because you're never going to get that person to take a shot through their block or through a block. Whereas if you're just small stature, like you're going to have to hit them with something clean. But I'm never going to have someone that's small hit me clean and then me be like light like
light
no, come on, that's just rude.
Yeah.
Like I don't expect if I spar you for a bit and you're fucking thwacking me the whole time and you're 5'1", then yeah, like you're back in the scale. But my other thing too is if you hit me in the back, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to hit me harder. I do not need to bleed from my kidneys. Yeah. But
this is good.
yeah, that's my take at it.
This is a good segue into my hypothesis that I forgot about.
Yeah.
So here's my hypothesis. Some of you might have heard it before. This is a difference between Amtgard and Belgarth. All right. In Amtgard, when somebody is like, I'm going to style on somebody or I'm going to show off, they do something that's pretty or agile. right? So a spin shot, some kind of like no look back, just something. There's a style thing that occurs. That is how you flex on someone.
Yeah.
In Belgarth, what I've noticed is flexing on somebody means hitting them hard,
That's so true.
right? But it's just like, so like, like a big red hit, oh, boom, and that person flies across the field. And Belgarth, it's like, oh yeah, or like, oh, you just got fucking rocked. In Amtgard, people are like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
there's like this interesting cultural divide. Is like, so flexing on somebody, and conversely, what it means to be good in many ways. There's a huge difference there culturally. Power, strength, speed, and agility, and and like technique, style. That's my hypothesis.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, yeah. So I'm assuming you might agree with it.
No, that's totally true. The culture. That's really funny because I never like think that I'm flexing on someone because I hit them hard. Like that's like I just like hitting people hard. It doesn't even occur to me. Every time I get the chance, if I don't like hitting people in the back super hard or
Yeah.
anything. And actually, pro tip, if you're gonna run a line, stab everyone that doesn't have armor because it's faster and quieter, and they will still die. Also, people don't expect you to stab them super hard in the back. You do not have to stab somebody super hard in the back to get them to take that hit. Whereas sometimes people will say light to your back shots, and then you'll get in this weird situation where you're like tap, 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 trying to be nice to people, and you get to that one person, and you're like, the whack, and then you're like, oh, like I'm sorry, but you kind of make me do this because you say light otherwise. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I know what you mean though. You're totally right.
My
like a thing.
My first Geddon, I was using a glaive. It was a Gorg glaive, and I found myself in a position to run up the backs. So I had so much adrenaline. I was so hyped up that I'm running, and I'm like, wham, right on somebody's back, and the guy's like, oh, and he turns around, and he's like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Just really excited, and I didn't stop myself.
Yeah. The worst is when I'm redding with my red sword, and I'm like trying to just break all their shields like in the line as my like team is kind of crushing them.
Yes.
And that person then like puts their shield out to block something, and you're just like kidney with the shield breaking shot, and you're like, I'm so sorry. Oh my god. And then but you have to be like, sorry, and then keep going because you're using a red sword.
Yeah.
And if you stop to say, are you okay? 12 people will jump out of the woodwork,
Yes.
die on purpose to kill just you. And so like, I don't want to get hit super hard, even though I just like murdered you and possibly like crippled you for life. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I did that.
Is it worth it? Block with your sword if it's on that side. Shield guys, red guys coming. Keep your shield.
I did that. I did that on Saturday at New Winter Opener. I had my red, and it's like the flat blade spicy red, and I was going for that shield hit, and I was like, oh, and then as they like turned to fight somebody, and just blam, and I was like, oh shit, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I had somebody at practice accuse me of trying to hurt them, and I was like, no, you just moved your shield. Sorry.
Moved your shield.
Like, yeah.
There was the Zach. I forgot his Amtgard name for some reason, but that what event was that? Was it Ockfest that somebody was going for a shield kick, and like that
happens so much.
Yeah, he either moved his shield or something happened. He just got kicked right in the chest.
I'm gonna show you exactly what happens. Every time that you go to shield kick someone, you have to put your leg up, right?
Yeah.
What happens when you put your leg up? Your hand goes up. Every single person is like, they're gonna wrap, and then you boot them in the chest.
Yep.
Every single time. I have like tried to come up with like a this fake so I can kick them or something. It still doesn't work. They still do this, and I just kick them in the chest. I want to shield kick people so bad, and I always kick them in the chest because they move their shield. I try.
So I do the opposite. I've done this a couple times. I'll rear back and like with my
Mm.
sword down to act like I'm shield kicking somebody, so they
Yeah.
brace for it, and then I wrap them in the shoulder, and I'm like, I'm not really gonna kick you.
Oh, that's good. I
I
like that.
Foxy Rose says I have more problems with a man ego than throwing a hard shot. That's
Totally.
fair.
Yeah.
And I know that there's definitely some, and this is why we choose the bear, but there's definitely some men out there that like, they're like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
take a hit from a woman, and it's like, just fuck those people. That
Yeah.
that is it. It's. I feel like it's less pervasive than it was in the past. That's definitely an
Totally.
attitude that's out there, and
That's absolutely. I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt,
yeah.
but like usually
Hmm.
But yeah. So if there's somebody that you otherwise would think, is this happening? That seems weird. Maybe talk to them because maybe it just wasn't very hard. But if it fits, yeah.
I had I'll say it out loud because it's funny now, but I was first attending Bacon in a red fight one
Okay.
time, and Bacon and I hadn't really interacted too much at that point,
Yeah.
and so afterwards, she was very flustered, and I was like, "Is everything okay?" She's like, "Are you hitting me light because I'm a woman?" And I was like, "No, I'm hitting you light because I'm a weenie." That was she was really worried about that, which is very fair because that's something that
Yeah.
that, and I definitely present very masculine and man, so that's definitely something that happens. But I had to course correct. I said, no, 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 I'm just new at this and kind of a pussy, so that's really what was happening.
I I just want you all to know that if you're small, I am trying to hit you light, and I've been told many times that I'm still hitting you too hard, so I'm sorry.
Let's see if we got some more questions in here. What do we got? Everybody fights better if they're a blue lizard. Of course, Vark would say that.
That is true.
uh, let's see.
See,
What else we
I
got?
try to calibrate my hits to people's assumed bone density.
Assumed bone density. That sounds like a disaster in the making. Assumed bone density.
I mean, also too, like you're gonna swing. Like, there's a point at which you just don't want to hit somebody super hard because you're not gonna actually swing as fast
Yeah.
or as efficiently.
What type of fighter gives you the most trouble and why?
Good ones. Yeah.
Assuming skill is equal, what type of fighters give you the most trouble and why?
Uh, People that just have like natural advantage, being like taller and longer, and they have equipment that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like that's really the hardest thing is if they're just like a lot of people that have an advantage, they really rely on that advantage, and
Yes.
so if you kind of like use that against them, they kind of fall apart. Um, but people who have an advantage, but they still fight as if that advantage doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
then when they use that advantage against you, because they still utilize the full subset of skills that you could have, those people just are really fucking hard to fight.
Yes.
Um, but really, really just anyone who's like puts a lot of time in and is really good at their thing, and any it's like it's really hard to get them out of doing their thing because you kind of naturally like mirror what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if yeah, people who are really good and really have a thing, it's hard to fight them until you like learn their thing, and get some fights in with them because man, they're really good at it and they're waiting for their one thing and they just do it. That's
Mm-hmm.
hard.
What kind of fighters give me the most trouble? I kind of struggle with tall people sometimes. Um, but that's to your point. People that have a natural advantage, overcoming that is can be difficult. Um, Especially because I'm very blocky. I like to block. I like to close. Um, so that if I'm fighting a tall person, I'm sucking up attacks of opportunity on my way in.
Hmm. I would almost say too, it's not so much that they have that advantage, it's just that if they're very different than all the other people you fight, you just don't, even if you have experience fighting them, like you don't necessarily do the same things. So like if you fight a tall person, like you really want to like fight their arms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the one disadvantage of being tall and long is that your limbs are just really long, and so it takes you kind of longer to get places, even though you can reach further than everyone. Um, and then also you're just more vulnerable. Like if you're a tall, long person, your arm is long, like you have more arm to hit. It's just easier to hit you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not so bad. But if you like to dive in on people and fight close and grind, and then they're tall and they just reach over you and hit you in the back every time, like you're like unlearning your own fighting habits. That's where it gets hard.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. We have there's the chart. Do you know about the chart? If I told you about the chart?
The Tisco chart
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to
We've had
use
the chart
that.
on screen before,
Um,
I think.
I think so. I think we
Am
have.
I crazy, or I think I might have just shown that to other people when I was doing a fight review?
It's possible.
I know
I
about the chart though.
You do know about the chart. If I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, like, if I'm where am I on the chart, and where am I on the chart?
Like indirect
Yeah,
offensive, direct offensive, indirect defensive, direct defensive. Yeah.
I think my default is indirect defense because I tend to do a lot of bait,
Yeah.
games and stuff. So that
I
where
do
are we
think
at?
those are the hardest people to fight too.
Um, yeah, because I would say that you're direct offense, right?
Yeah.
Like you throw, you get in there.
Offense.
uh,
Yeah,
you get in there and throw. So that's when you
for
say
sure.
those people are the hardest people to fight. That tracks, right? Because isn't direct offense, indirect defense is one
I
click
think
down
direct
from that.
offense doesn't direct. Oh, is it beats the other way?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
direct offense beats indirect offense, and indirect
Mm.
defense beats direct
Yeah.
offense because I'm giving you openings, you're throwing at them, and then I'm capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
So that would mean that I struggle the most with direct defense, which tracks for me.
Yeah.
If somebody is just
Call
an
it direct
absolute fucking
defense.
turtle and I cannot get in there, and they're not falling for my bullshit, and they're probably gonna win.
God, I love those people. You just rough them up.
Well, I mean,
You
I
just
can,
stand
yeah,
there.
like I can, if I'm
Hmm.
thinking with my actual brain, I can switch, But yeah, just push them over. I did that, man. I did that. I did that. I knocked somebody over at Numenor Opener. I was so proud of myself, but he shoulder slapped me while I was doing it, so I was like, "Wow, fuck!" But
Oh.
it was like in my head, I was mentally dedicating it to you too. I was like, "Horus gonna like this." Just knock this dude
Yep.
over.
That's so good.
Uh, what do you guys like to snack on the most?
Oh man. Um, Candy. I eat candy a lot, especially at Belgrath to like keep calories up. But no, I mean, like, what do I act like? Yes, candy is what I like to snack on. I try not to eat it. I eat edamame to snack. I really just try not to snack at all. I only really eat meals. And yeah, I do eat healthy. I pretty much just buy a ton of vegetables
Mm-hmm.
and tofu and stuff, and that's all that I eat. Uh, really like cooking though, and that's how I get myself to both do it and cook. The best event snacks are uh,
Mike and Ike's.
candy. Okay, so there's a real reason to do this. If you're gonna eat candy, it like goes straight in your bloodstream because it's
Mm-hmm.
like pure sugar. And if you're like running around all day, that's kind of what you want to do.
Yes.
And then you also want a little salt, and um, you want water. So I don't really enjoy drinking Gatorade that much, so I try to have something with a little bit of salt and then eat candy. Um, and then I eat like things that digest slowly early in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then the other thing that I really like for events is they make tofu that's like marinated. That's almost like beef jerky, and
Okay.
I love that shit. That's actually usually how I get the salt portion of it during the day, is I eat that. That's like a good bit of protein too, so that I don't just like eat candy only all day. Or I also really like fruit. I totally lied when I said I don't snack. I eat a lot of fruit.
Um,
Apples, strawberries, blueberries.
Bananas. I love bananas at events. I don't like the taste of bananas
Bananas
usually,
are
but at
good.
events I'm like bananas. You know.
I love bananas.
Um, yeah, Mike and
Pineapple.
Ike's any kind of sugary
Mike
candy
and
is
Ike's,
great.
yes. That's my
So
my
good.
Mike and Ike's are my what do you call it? My kryptonite? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, at
I
events
can't
it's not a
stop myself.
kryptonite. It's helping you. You know.
Yeah, sure.
Just keep telling ourselves that.
Yeah. The
Ice
thing that
cold
I
pickle.
eat that's not healthy is I get Oreos and I cannot stop myself from eating the entire package in 2 days.
Yes.
Every
Yeah,
time. And I
we
feel
talked
sick
about this the other day.
every time.
We both do the same thing. We don't buy
Yeah.
shit food at the grocery store because we know we're going to eat it. Um,
Yes.
God, pickles. I feel like so. Here's my problem with pickles at an event. They're messy, and
Oh, I love pickles.
I love pickles too, but not at an event. I have a hand thing. My hands get dirty. I have to immediately wash them. Have
Do
to.
you bring hand sanitizer to events?
No, that's not good enough.
Oh,
Because hand
okay.
sanitizer, it's hand
Gets on your hands.
sanitizer is clean,
I
but it doesn't wash.
I just don't I don't like the germs, but I don't actually care if my hands are dirty.
I'm the
If that makes
exact
sense. Like
opposite.
it doesn't bother me if my hands are dirty, but I don't like the microbes thing. Like if people give me stuff, I'm like, okay, thank you, and then I like turn away and put hand sanitizer on. Like I don't want to offend you, but like I'm just crazy because otherwise I used to get sick after like every event. And I'm sorry, but uh, we all experienced COVID lockdowns, and I was at home and I wore a mask every day, and I didn't get sick for like 4 years. All of you people are disgusting. Like, what are you doing? How are you like always getting me sick? I don't like it.
I didn't get COVID until I went to that one EQ where everybody got COVID. And yeah, cities that they have to physically wash them. It's so true. And like because I'm the exact opposite. I'm like I'll pick my butt
Yeah,
and eat it. I don't care. Germs not that big of a deal to me.
yeah,
But as far as like the actual feeling of dust, dirt, all of these things,
hmm,
can't have it. No, have to immediately clean my hands. Um, and it's a thing. It's a weird thing that I do. Uh, how do we get to? Oh, because pickles.
yeah.
Um,
Pickles.
Snack
I
wise,
also
so
like
so
pickles.
in life, I eat this. I eat the same meal most days. For breakfast, for dinner, for breakfast, I eat um, protein waffles. That's my breakfast every day. Protein waffles. 4 protein waffles. Uh, and then for lunch, dinner, my usual go-to is I cook chicken breast, or if I'm feeling randy, I'll cook chicken thighs um,
Hmm.
with white rice and some kind of vegetable, and then I usually make a sauce out of a wine of some kind. So like a marsala wine or a what's the one that goes in French onion soup? Dry vermouth.
Yeah.
I'll make a sauce out of marsala or dry vermouth, and I'll add some cream, and then like a little bit of like what do you call it? Chicken stock.
I don't want to make soup again.
That's my meal, lunch and dinner. Snack wise, I try not to eat snacks, but usually what I like pickled okras. Those are my favorite.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, so good. And
Anything that you eat that's like most like very fibrous is like, in my opinion,
top notch.
completely fine as a snack
Yeah,
because like it's barely any calories
yeah.
anyways. Who cares? But yeah, I also eat like basically the same thing every day. But it's like oatmeal in the morning with like peanut butter or almond butter or something
Hmm.
in it with like fruit on top, maybe some like chocolate chips melted in, and then oh, you can totally do it, pickles. It's just you have to eat a lot. Um, And then I either all of my like lunch and dinner are like similar, but it's usually like some kind of stir fry, or I'll like
Yep.
make soups or pasta or something, or um, if I'm stir fry like rice or millet, or I love all sorts of weird grains. My pantry is like full of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Um, and then I'll eat like tofu, textured vegetable protein, or seitan. Um, but I go crazy.
Hell yeah. Event wise, so that can be a struggle because I do have Crohn's and like somewhat of an allergy to FODMAPs. And so like
Hmm.
being
Oh, brutal.
yes.
I'm
So
I
I usually by the end of an
yeah.
event, if I'm not packing my own food, which I usually don't, I'm sick. But
Hmm.
I try to just I'll get the chicken instead of the beef burger or whatever. I don't know. But like snack wise, I usually go with like a candy. Um, I might have a protein shake here or there, something like that, to try to keep protein intake. And if it's really really hot, then I have these oral rehydration salts that I'll mix into a drink, and those are like
Hmm.
if it's a if it's like a super super hot day and you're just sweating, those oral rehydration salts are like instant pop back up. Like, oh, here I am again. I'm good to go. Um, if I'm snacking inappropriately, so like I'll probably eat something that's meant for my son.
Hmm.
That's one downside when you're on the cut is that your kid eats bullshit and it's right there for you and you're like,
I, yeah. I is so much harder to live with someone who's
mm-hmm.
eating other things. The only thing that makes it easier for me is that my brother tends to like eat non-vegan things
Yeah,
as his like other things, so I
yeah,
can't
that'd make it
actually
easier.
eat any of the
Yeah.
food really. But like when he has Chex Mix, I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Like I could eat all of those.
Do you get food jealous? I get extremely food jealous.
No. I mean, like, I don't really get food jealous. I'm like, ooh, you're eating something I can eat. Can I try that? Like, but not really. That's like, yeah. Oh, when other people have food, though, I want to make food.
That's
It's
food
like
jealous. That's what
hard
I'm
not.
talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Then the answer is yes. That usually reminds me, like, unless I just ate, yeah, totally food
Even
jealous. I
then,
see other people with food, I'm like, I should get food.
I should get food.
Yeah.
People talk about, and this is a sensitive subject, and, I want to be respectful to people that struggle with eating disorders and whatnot, but,
Yeah.
people talk about weight gain in relationships. And, you know, like when you start a relationship and, you put on 10 pounds or something like that. And I think that's because, and I have a hypothesis about this. When you're in a relationship, you're hanging out with somebody and they're like, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat at my normal time. And then you're like, well, I'm going to eat too. I could eat. Why wouldn't I eat? But normally you wouldn't eat for another hour or two. But
Mhm.
somebody eating is going to trigger your hunger, and then vice
Yeah.
versa. You know, I think sometimes that's where that weight gain in relationships comes from. Is that that
I think that not only have I experienced that, but also when you start at least in my experience, when you start a new relationship, you eat out more.
yes,
And eating out, like
oh
you eat similar things, but the calorie count is like way higher because they
yes,
like way put more stuff in it, especially fats,
yes,
um, to make it taste good. Um, and so like you eat out more and then you go you go out, like there's not a lot of third spaces in life anymore, so you like go
yeah,
to get food every time you go do something.
mm-hmm.
Like it's really hard. And also you might not exercise as much unless like you meet your significant other at the gym or something. Like
Yeah,
you're not necessarily like you're probably skipping exercising to go out and do stuff together or do things.
mm-hmm.
So like it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
The no, I agree. A lot of time when I was single and I was dating a lot, it was like I could
mhm.
not stick to my diet because like, what are we doing? Oh, we're going to get something to eat. Okay, what am I eating? Some kind of dish that some restaurant has pumped full of butter,
Yep.
and is probably going to put me in a salt coma. Yeah, about 2 or 3 times a week. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
And then I was like outside of that, I was really trying to stay at my target, so I was eating like a monk. It's just like chicken rice,
That's
nothing
like,
else.
yes. I
Uh,
love monk eating. It feels so good. You just like feel really good all the time. Honestly, that's the thing that drives me the most crazy is that, especially dating other people. I'm sorry if this resonates with you, but this is a pet peeve of mine, is when people eat things that make them feel bad and then they continue to do it. I'm like, I stopped doing this because I don't want to feel bad. Like,
yes.
if you say you feel bad, stop doing it.
Stop
Like,
doing the thing.
there's so many things that taste good in this world. Try something else that doesn't make you feel bad.
Hmm.
Like, and I'm not saying you can never have those things, but like if you do it on the regular, don't do that to yourself. Like, yeah.
No, that makes sense. Like, because then it's like, okay, your stomach's upset and you're going to go to bed early or you're going to spend all night in the bathroom. That's now also my experience.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, if you're lactose intolerant, go get lactose pills. They're not expensive. Like, it's a life-changing experience. I also did that when I ate products with lactose in them. It
Hmm.
was way better. Highly recommend. I don't eat those things anymore. I also like don't have these terrible experiences anymore. It's
Hmm.
fantastic. I highly recommend it to people. And like, yeah, I mean, you can still like make crazy stuff that like tastes amazing and is like bad for you and just like eat less of it too. And like you don't feel as bad. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of things you can do, but don't not have fun. Just maybe change your behavior slightly to make it more fun. I'm sorry to call people out. I know it's hard. I also was there. I have experienced all of the things. I
Interesting.
I just don't do it anymore.
Interesting. Slicerness says if you get nauseous from lactate pills, try the generic.
Oh, cool.
You
I
know,
don't know that I've ever had the normal lactate ones. I just had the other ones.
um, something that
It's cool.
do you take fish oil? Well, I guess you wouldn't.
I used to take algae oil, and then I was worried that it was one of the reasons that I was like, um, experiencing various medical issues. I don't think that's the case now. But yeah, I think it's supposed to be good for you. I don't know. It seems well studied, but
I was thinking about Slicer triggered. Slicer's comment triggered this thought in my head. Was that I take fish oil every morning, and there's this thing that sometimes happens after you take fish oil, where you start
mhm.
belching, and it tastes like
Gross.
oh, it's disgusting. Like it's like you're just vomiting up old tilapia.
Yeah.
Ugh. But I don't know. It just reminded me of that situation that happens is that
Yeah.
you get these fish oil
So
burps.
fit like others okay, so supplements are like totally unregulated.
Yeah.
Like they can put whatever in them and like it's hard to know what you're actually getting. And so like for some stuff, I don't worry because like it's really common and like your doctor will prescribe it or whatever. Like I take vitamin D, otherwise my it doesn't matter. I walk outside every day. If I don't take the vitamin D pill, I will have very low vitamin D.
Interesting.
It's just a thing.
What are the symptoms of
Um,
that?
you depressed, uh I forget the physical ones. There's a bunch of them. Like some people have like various things and they think like, "Oh, I have depression." And like if you have depression, you probably have depression. But some people have gone to their doctor and they're like, "You have low vitamin D." And then they get on vitamin D pills and then they're like they feel fine. It's crazy. Like some people's stories about low vitamin D are just so dumb sounding, but like it's a thing. So they test you for it if you just go to your yearly doctor's appointment. Like every doctor should be testing for your vitamin D levels.
Interesting.
They test like a bunch of blood tests, but that's a very common one.
You shouldn't just
Um,
randomly throw a lot of vitamin D at yourself though, because you can
no,
overdose on
don't
it.
just do that. Like go to the doctor. You
Yeah.
because also if you start taking vitamin D, you can have too much vitamin D. So like
Hmm.
don't do that too. But my vitamin D, even walking outside every day and taking vitamin D pills, never gets out of just like basic normal range.
Wild.
So yeah, it's crazy. I like need to like go out in like a speedo and sunbathe or something. I don't know. Um, yeah. um, so don't take medical advice from me, but besides, go to the doctor and get your yearly checkup. That's good advice for anyone. But um, fish oil though scares me, and algae oil, because like those are like fats, and like a lot of them smell rancid, or they put stuff in them in case they smell rancid, and I'm like, so is it rancid or not? Like I don't know. That stuff freaks me
That's
out.
fair.
Like I know it's supposed to be good for you, and like I want to do that because it's definitely something that I'm not sure that I'm like meeting the requirements, but those things scare me more than other vitamins that you can take.
That's fair. Indominus Mex asks, the bench branded Speedos win. So we've
Hell
got
yeah.
we've got booty shorts on the way.
Yeah.
It's they're designed. They're I essentially have to order them because I got to figure out how many to order, and I got to figure out a price point to sell them at. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do it because I'm really broke at the moment. So I don't want to drop $500 on shorts that I don't have. But
We can talk later. I got you.
we got it covered.
Yeah.
But you know, they're on their way. There's just like one or two steps left, and then they have to actually print them, which will probably take a month or something like that. They're how big are the lettering? Because I got cake. So there's a big bench. Let's see if I can I drop a picture somewhere? I bet I can. Let me see if I can drop a picture. Oh boy, it'll take me a second. Well, let's pull up a picture. Talk about something while I'm looking for a picture.
Sure.
What do you got?
Oh man, what should I talk about? Do we have any other good questions?
I think we got through them all.
Yeah.
We'll take more questions though. If you got questions, ask them.
Where do you get pickled okra at? That's a good question.
Grocery store. That being said, St. Louis, the main grocery store chain in St. Louis is called Schnucks.
Yeah, that's what you have too.
You have Schnucks also. Schnucks is like technically a bougie kind of higher end grocery store.
It is?
It is.
No, it's not.
It is. Have you been to grocery stores in other states?
Yeah.
Schnucks is like a cut above.
Okay. It is, to me, it's like a normal grocery store, but
Same.
that's like, I grew up in Chicagoland, and like Dominic's and Jewel, like it's the same kind of grocery store as all the other ones. But yeah, I guess it is. Is Schnucks expensive?
It is technically on the low end of premium or something like that.
Huh.
I remember when I lived in Jersey and Cincinnati. I don't remember the grocery store in Cincinnati, but definitely in Jersey there was like Pathmark and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, they were just regular generic grocery stores, and it was just they just kind of had the basics. Where Schnucks has like different types of fancy food, you know, and bougie stuff.
Yeah.
Shit.
I always just go to like, I mean, their produce isn't really that much different than anyone else's that I've noticed, but as far as price, but their produce doesn't immediately rot in my house.
Yes.
Which is why I go to Schnucks.
Bench shorts. This is taking me more time than I would have liked to do this, but I'm doing it. It's because I love you guys. Hold on, where are we at? Did I do it? Did I do it? No, I didn't do it yet. Okay, it's there. What is that? Is that a... Oh, God.
Man, I just want to say this. I really like spinach better than kale, but I should only ever buy kale because spinach goes bad so fast compared to kale. Kale will sit in your fridge for a month and still be great.
Because it's not
Probably
real
shouldn't
food.
sit in your fridge much longer than the month, but like it annoys me how fast spinach goes, and you can only buy it in like giant quantity.
Yep.
Or in a small quantity that goes away after one meal, and it's like still $5. Oh yeah, frozen spinach is good. And it doesn't really matter in most of the stuff I make it in anyway. Oh, why am I not buying frozen spinach? I always forget that exists. Even though I buy other frozen vegetables all the time. Vinegar water wash
What?
for the spinach? Yeah. Oh, see, I don't eat eggs. Oh, just egg is, I don't know, it's pretty good. But I like eating oatmeal in the morning. I'm like a oatmeal fanatic. I found this recipe online that's like stupid easy to do. Oh, okay.
Coming soon. That's what the shorts are going to look like. Big old bench logo on the ass.
Yeah. I love it.
I have to leave them up for at least another minute because we're in an ad break right now.
Do it.
You know what goes bad instantly? Instantly.
Yeah.
Raspberries.
Okay, I know that's true, but I literally never have raspberries go bad in my house because I just eat all of them.
And that's fair because they're so good. I think raspberries are the best tasting.
You're totally right.
They're the best tasting fruit. Like nothing tastes better than raspberries. Except maybe cherries. But like cherries are a fruit, but not in a real sense because cherries aren't good for you, right? There's nothing good in cherries.
That is not true.
Really? See, I don't know.
Yeah. Cherries are still good for you.
Yeah, but not like real cherries, like maraschino cherries are not good for you.
No, yes, because there's
really
extra sugar in maraschino cherries. But any fruit, pretty much, like has different polyphenols and different vitamins and stuff. So like you really can't go bad just eating fruits and vegetables. And also the calorie content of those kinds of foods is never going to be super high.
Yeah.
I challenge you to try to eat the same amount of calories of strawberries as you can of candy. And I bet you cannot without becoming very uncomfortable. It's just not going to happen. So, but yeah, it's interesting that you like raspberries the best because I'm not saying that I don't like raspberries. I love raspberries, but I really think there's a lot of fruit that I prefer over raspberries. And the best tasting fruit is a ripe strawberry. Like
hard disagree.
Nothing better.
Hard disagree.
Yeah, but I really like watermelon, pineapple.
Tropical
fruits are amazing. Mango, all those are great. But the ripe strawberry is like that. There's just like strawberries are not always like in the running, right? Like any pineapple you get is probably pretty good, right? Any watermelon you get probably pretty good. Not every strawberry you get is pretty good, but you get like the ripe one in season, and you're like, this is it. Like this is what food is. This is the best thing that I'm ever gonna taste in my life, and it like grew on a plant. It's crazy.
Pineapple is hit or miss. It's mostly hit, but
yeah,
you start getting pineapple that has that like what is it, like that taste where it's starting to get over a little bit, and it has like a sourness to it. It's awful. I don't have a pre-order link yet. I'm just not sure how I'm going to do it, and I've been just so busy with stuff. But a pre-order link that might make the most sense. Doing like a pre-order link.
Yeah, because then if you get a pre-order link too, you know how many.
Yeah.
You have an idea of how many you need to buy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I have the money, and I can buy them, and I'm not out money for a certain amount of time. All right, we'll do a pre-order link. I'll try to have that up before the next show.
Yes.
Yes, we'll sign them for sure. I'm
gonna have to get like silver or gold markers or something because all the shorts are black.
The right cheek. Well, I'm always on the left, and you're always on the right, so I'd have to sign the left cheek, and you have to sign the right cheek.
This is great.
I love it. You know what I have, and this is kind of a actually moment. You know what my favorite fruit is? Avocado. That's a actually moment. It's like, it's technically a fruit.
But also avocados are amazing.
Like
I don't want to denigrate the avocado here, but what?
I know. It's like I feel like it's kind of cheating or being sly or clever.
No, I mean it is. You're right. It's just funny because it's not something I associate with like fruit, even though it totally is a fruit.
Well, you can't just eat avocado. King Dumbass, which is an apt name for this comment, is saying that avocado tastes like a shrug.
You just gotta put salt and pepper on it.
Somebody
Done.
somebody said that raw avocado without any seasoning tastes like a penis, and I'm kind of like, that's kind of true, I think. But but the avocado, what you do is you mush it up,
Yeah.
and you put salt, pepper, olive oil, and a touch of vinegar. It's so fucking good.
I know that it tastes good, but like that's so Italian. Like, I like I just like some like part of me that grew up in Hispanic neighborhoods my whole life is like, what? Like, but like yeah, absolutely. Because I would just I would do the same thing. You're making guacamole, right? Like salt, pepper, lime juice,
Acid,
um,
yeah,
and then cilantro.
salt, pepper, acid, fat,
Yeah.
and cilantro. I'm big on that.
Yeah, you don't need to add more fat to avocado, but like
You don't
I'm
need
not
to.
gonna tell you not to
Yeah.
add more fat to avocado because olive oil on avocado would be good. I see it. I'm gonna try this now.
It's so good. A great vinegar. You have to use the right vinegar because if you're using white
Yes.
vinegar, it's like, eh. Um,
Mm.
red
What do
wine
you
vinegar
use?
is okay. Rice wine vinegar, perfect. Perfect.
I love that. Yeah, onions and
Delicious.
tomatoes and avocado also or in guac, amazing. That's usually I put like a bit of red onion. Also, it's really
Blech.
good if you just put raw garlic and avocado.
Wouldn't
Oh
know.
yeah, I know you
Wouldn't
can't.
know.
I'm so sorry.
The one thing I can do, and if you have, I feel comfortable saying this on the stream because a actual doctor did tell me this.
Okay.
I had a nutritionist that specialized in GI disorders,
Hmm.
and if you have a FODMAP allergy, you can't do, garlic, onion, etc. Infused garlic
Yes.
oil, good to go, because the
Yeah.
FODMAPs are water
In
soluble.
yeah.
They're
They're
water.
also in the yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So my ex-wife had it and or had the FODMAP allergy, and so we always had garlic oil and onion oil in the house. Um,
So good.
and yeah, you use it in everything.
I think we've
That
talked
is
we've talked
actually where
about
I
this
learned that
before.
you
Yeah.
can put too much garlic in something.
It's possible.
It is very possible, especially if you use the oil. I was making a like cheese dip and oh my God, it was a cheese dip that turned you into a dragon. You could breathe fire afterward. I would taste it and I was like, I actually put too much garlic in this. This is disgusting. Like,
Wild.
and there's no actual garlic in it. It was unbelievable.
Indominus Mex says, fun fact, the original name of an avocado, I'm going to butcher this, ahuacatl, it means testicle. So does that mean, is avocado a nut? Is that what that means?
Sure. I mean, there is a nut in an
It's true.
avocado.
Or seed. See, I don't know
That
that it's a
nut
nut.
always tries to make me chop my freaking hand off
Why come?
because you cut around it, but then like the way that you get the avocado. Okay, so I don't do this anymore because I should not have sharp things unless I'm trying to hurt someone. Um, and usually it's me. I have a lot of scars on my hands. Uh, and I don't want to go to the hospital anymore. But if you're like doing it, nor you don't put your hand under it, but you like take your knife and you smack the nut, and then you like twist it, and then you just pull it out.
Yeah.
And I can do that, but if your knife is not sharp that day, or if you don't cut it right, it will just bounce,
Yes.
and you will try to slice your hand open. I've never cut myself doing that, thankfully, but I got really close, so now I just use a spoon. Um, 'Cause
Always have
I
sharp knives. That's a kitchen
yes,
safety thing.
sharp
Always
knives.
have
I
sharp
need
knives and do
yeah,
the straightener thing with a ch.
yep. I have a block too, but my knife I've been using for years now, and I need to get a new one. Its day is over.
Saves. You can just get it
So
sharpened if you like the knife.
no, I've been sharpening it. It's pretty doomed now.
No, like take
Like
it to a professional sharpener.
oh, I guess I could. I just want. It's also like a
I like new
$12
things.
knife from Sam's Club that I've just kept really sharp for years.
That's fair.
So I feel like it's time to upgrade to like a real knife.
Do it.
But
I'll ask my buddy Tess. My buddy Tess is a professional chef, and I'll get a knife recommendation out of her.
yeah, I need to find a knife that's somewhere between like, I mean, if it's under, I would be very happy because, like I said, I paid like $12 for my last one, but like between like $300 and $500. I feel like it's okay to invest in this because I cook
$100.
every day.
You don't need to spend more than $100. I promise.
Yeah, like give me $100 knife. I just want a really sharp knife. Like I want to like throw silk in the air, hold it out, and it cuts the silk in half perfectly. Like that sharp.
I'm asking her right now. What's the perfect
Smack? Alright, smack the nut.
You gave
I
that
was
away
gonna
for
say
free.
softly instead slowly. I don't think I can speak slowly.
What's the perfect $100-ish chef's knife for someone? She already told me once because I bought her a chef's knife for her when she got knighted. That was my knighting gift to her, but she'll tell me again.
Oh, cool.
Can I get you to say? You just smack the nut. You already did that. That's funny.
Smack the nut.
Smack the nut. What else we got? You got any more questions for us? Are we technically we're in after hours
over.
now? Are we in after hours?
We're just talking about food, and I will talk
food.
about food until the end of time. If we could show pictures, I will literally get out my phone, and I have at least like 1,000 pictures of just food that I've made.
Let's see. Let me see if I can do something real quick and make this fun. We're gonna make it fun. Let's see. Collab. I'm gonna add that as a source. That being you. And then we're gonna... Nobody can see anything yet. I just seem like I'm talking to myself, and that's okay. And then let's get rid of... Or is it let's get rid of that. And then let's add this. This will all be worth it, I promise. Please publish a Bell Event Prep cookbook. As in... Did we lose you? Can I not hear you now? Uh-oh, where'd you go? I can't hear you all of a sudden. Why can't I hear you? Uh-oh. Can y'all still hear... yeah, Horus, we lost you. Why? Why did that happen? No. Why? Why does this happen? Did you change anything? I didn't change anything. Oh, no. Bummer. I really wish I would know how that occurred. Because then we could fix it. And it could not happen again. Damn it. Well. Can I still hear me? Can you hear me still? Can you still hear me? Stream, am I still... Yeah, they can still hear me. Well, it's, it's 8:30. We can call it. This has been a fun episode. I'm gonna do some tech playing around and see if I can get this shit to work in the future correctly. Guys and gals and theys, you've been fantastic. Love you. Check us out next week when we talk. I hate this. Check us out next week when we talk to Glenn Mallet of Providence and Brian Kibler about Lightest Touch LARPs. And we will catch you next time. Peace.
wearing ties.